Welcome back everyone, Mariah Monetize here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over the price of Bitcoin, but we're also going to be talking about something that I really haven't talked about on this channel yet, and that is the CPI report, okay? So the CPI is a consumer price index, and so it's basically a report that comes out once a month to give people an idea of where the current inflation rate is. Now I'm going to be honest, anything produced by a government agency should never be trusted. It's going to be highly manipulated. So the government can control things like markets, price movements. I mean, we all know that inflation is probably a lot higher than they're ever willing to admit. But I'm still going to be talking about the CPI and the CPI report today because what we can notice, we can look back and we can see some different price action that happens with the price of Bitcoin in correlation to when the CPI is released monthly. I'm not going to take credit for this. I saw Meet Kevin actually talk about this on one of his recent videos, and he pointed out that when the CPI report comes out, there is this continuous trend when it comes to Bitcoin declining after that, leading up to it and then declining. And that is because 40% of people surveyed have admitted or basically exposed the fact that they invest in Bitcoin as a hedge when it comes to inflation. So people have been anticipating the inflation rate to be a lot higher than what has been reported. And in return, the price of Bitcoin has dropped around the release of that data. And it basically makes sense that since inflation isn't as high as many people were probably anticipating, especially because of all the stimulus money, and that is the reason why Bitcoin is kind of dropping, because a lot of people are saying they use Bitcoin as a hedge. Well, if inflation really isn't on the rise or being reported that way, then I guess people are not, purchasing Bitcoin nearly as much. So just to give you an idea here, this is a chart here that shows the variations in the consumer price index. You could see here that June, so it was reported on June 10th, it was 1.5%. And then May 12th was 1.4%. April 13th, 1.2%. Let's see here. Then we had March 10th, 1.1. And both January and February were actually 0.6. So what I did here was I put an arrow on those dates that I just mentioned. I didn't do the January one, but I did basically between February and June. And you could see in most of these cases, not as much here, because you could see that, you know, the index was 0.6 when reported in February, but that really didn't, it was pretty low, but it's, didn't really affect the price of Bitcoin there. But you could see here that literally at the top of where we saw the all-time high of Bitcoin was the day before it was actually reported. And that would have been an excellent time to have sold, clearly. So you could see here that in this case right here, Bitcoin fell significantly. So just something to keep in mind. That's why we might be seeing a current sell-off with the price of Bitcoin. And then it's just something that you might want to take into consideration. So let's go ahead and take a deep dive here on Bitcoin, the recent price action. So I drew the symmetrical triangle. You could see that Bitcoin broke below it, but now we're on this candle right here, this very indecisive candle. The fact that the DMA is sitting at about 35.5. Bitcoin made a lower low a few days ago here on July 8th. Bitcoin's not looking good, and I'm still anticipating that big drop down to, between maybe 18 and 23,000. I put some buy orders in that range. Let's go and look here at the 12-hour chart. So the 12-hour chart, it's trending downwards, still not looking that great. We want to see Bitcoin hold 32.1. Okay, if it could hold 32.1, that would give us a little bit of hope, but overall, I think things are going to get ugly. A lot of people are going to get shaken out here in the next few months. It's not going to be a very exciting summer for Bitcoin. And I always talk about how it's so easy to try to compare this market cycle with previous market cycles. Bitcoin is so new that we have to also take into consideration the S-curve when it comes to technology adoption, and how this market is not going to look like all the others, because if it did, then, it's just you can't predict what's going to happen next, obviously. So the 4-hour chart looking really bad as Bitcoin has made a lower low, and we saw this red 2 trading below the red 1. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the hourly chart, which is also not looking good, trending downwards. Let's go ahead and look here. That was the 1 hour. This is the 30-minute, also looking pretty rough here. So interesting. I wanted to see here when the stock market closed. I mean, let's go ahead and look at SPY actually. Let's take a look at SPY and see what it did today. So let's see. Wow, excellent. New all-time high on SPY. So big day for SPY, new all-time high. I wanted to see if there was any correlation. We're seeing a lot of strength on SPY. And so I wanted to see if by any chance this really intense weakness, the sell-off right here, because Bitcoin's down about 1,500, 1,600 on the day as of right now. I was wondering if there was going to be any correlation with the stocks, but I'm not really seeing any correlation. SPY, or with particularly SPY. So let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum, which is also looking pretty bad as well. This candle right here is pretty intense. It's actually looking worse than Bitcoin. I would anticipate Ethereum to break down lower than Bitcoin from a percentage perspective. So, but still being up, being held up pretty nicely here by this DMA, but it's looking like we're going to see some really intense Bitcoin price action, and it's probably not going to be all that fun. So get ready for that. I mean, I would love to be wrong. I really would. And I'll definitely admit it if I was wrong and Bitcoin doesn't ever drop to those levels, but that's just how I'm feeling. So Coinbase stock actually looking quite solid. If we could see maybe sometime tomorrow or the next sometime this week, Bitcoin make a higher high, that would be awesome. It would have been nice here to see this green 2 trade above the green 1. That would have been a nice bullish signal to jump in there. But honestly, Coinbase stock looking strong and pretty surprising considering I'm always going to anticipate Coinbase to somewhat correlate with the price of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. But as you can see here, it's, showing some strength and actually looking decent. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on Coinbase. Let's see here. For fun, let's go ahead and look at Dogecoin. So this is the Binance chart right here. This is the daily, sitting at about 21 cents. Keep a very close eye here to see if it breaks below this moving average. Big cross right here on these moving averages. So no strength here on Dogecoin. Well, that is all I have for you today. Hope you all had an amazing day. Check out my affiliate links down below. Celsius, Gemini, Coinbase, one way for you to support my channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. That is all I have for you today. As always, go out there and create a portfolio that you love.